to come from the bowels of hell.
The Dana Gould Hour.
Jungle worms and swamp rats run around your feet.
I bought a dog that killed the calf, that ate the canary. What is truth?
And once again, welcome back.
Hello and welcome to the hot summer episode of the Dana Gould Hour podcast. Fasten your enthusiasm harness. We are blasting off yet again. We have two fantastic guests today. And I mean that in the literal sense, for they have ushered the fantastic into your daily life. Richard Edlund is a legend. In his amazing career, he is known first and foremost as one of the founders of ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, the company that created the special effects for a little film called Star Wars, the movie, and revolutionized how movies were made here in Hollywood. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. Edlund began his career in the late 50s, early 60s. When you watch episodes of The Addams Family, the original TV series with John Astin and Caroline Jones, that's Richard Edlund's hand in the opening credits as Thing. He also designed the font for the original Star Trek TV series. If you're a musician, you probably heard of Pig Nose Amps, also Richard Edlund. Anyway, we're going to get into all of that. But that's not all. Dave Bertolino is here. Dave is the creator of Spooky World, founded in Berlin, Massachusetts, located conveniently on the outskirts of nowhere. Spooky World became a nationally known horror theme park attraction. It started from nothing and immediately became huge. And Dave has a new book out entitled Beyond the Screams at Spooky World. And he'll be here to talk about that. Who else do you know? Looks like an accountant, but is close pals with Linda Blair, Tom Savini, and Alice Cooper. Dave Bertolino, that's who. True Tales from Weirdsville tells the tale of Schlockmeister par excellence, William Castle. From Emergo to Percepto to Illusiono, William Castle was the gimmick king of B-movies. Larger than life, stranger than fiction, more real than any reality you can conjure, Mr. William Castle. As for me, well, I don't know about me, but Dr. Z will be performing live in Las Vegas, Nevada at TrekCon Las Vegas on Saturday, August 8th at TrekCon Las Vegas. On the Trekspert stage of the DeForest Kelley Theater with special guests Ray Wise, Nana Visitor, and our own Darren Doctorman. How do you get to the DeForest Kelley Theater? I'll be blasted if I know, Jim. The Hanging with Dr. Z live special with Will Ferrell and L. Ron Hubbard drops, I think, Tuesday, August 11th, or roundabout then. Check my or Dr. Z's Instagram page or the Hanging with Dr. Z YouTube channel for details. They're a little sketch, but probably sometime between me recording this and this posting, we'll know. Just go to the internet. But it's funny. On Sunday, August 23rd at 10 p.m. at the American Cinematheque Los Feliz 3 here in beautiful Los Angeles, California, in the Los Feliz district. The Dana Gould Hour podcast will be joining the American Cinematheque Friends of the Fest, where podcasts sponsor a movie they would like to present to the public. And we are sponsoring 1971's horror classic House of Dark Shadows on the big screen, one of the best vampire movies ever made, for my dollar. Plus, it was made in 1971, and the groovy factor is through the roof. On September 16th, Hanging with Dr. Z will be live in New York City at Terminal 5 in Hell's Kitchen with special guests Dave Hill and Sam Morrell. Now, this is a special show at 5 o'clock. It was a weird show. It was a private show, and we were opening it up to the public. So just keep an eye on my Instagram or my website for ticket information. We'll be getting that up as soon as we have it all squared away. But if you're in New York on September 16th, and you can get somewhere at 5 o'clock, Hanging with Dr. Z with Dave Hill, Sam Morrell, and a whole lot of you-know-what. And lastly, but never leastly, on October 14th, here in Los Angeles at Largo, we will be ushering in the spooky season once again with Plan 9 from Outer Space live with all of your favorites, Janet Varney, Paul F. Tompkins, Lorraine Newman, Jonah Ray, Kimmy Robertson, and many, many more details to come. Go to the live events page of danagould.com for Lastly, thank God this program is brought to you by you. Although you may hear a couple of spot ads now and again, this show has always relied on its listeners for support, and we never fail to appreciate you. And so, if you are not one already, please consider becoming a Dana Gould Hour Sky Cadet. Go to danagould.com and sign up for our Patreon. $5 a month is all we ask. We don't have graduated levels. I'm not going to come to your house for $17.50 every 6 weeks and do your blackheads, but I do like watching that on YouTube. $5 a month, and you get some stuff. Don't be a shy cadet, be a Sky Cadet. It's a simple deal for complicated times. Now, it's on to our filthy business.
Tune in, it's a gas. It's the Dana Gould Hour podcast.
The Dana Gould Hour. Never an hour.
It's a sunny Saturday afternoon high atop the Mulholland Drive view shelf here in sunny Southern California, the People's Republic of California, in the former United States. My guest today, if you grew up as I did, reading Famous Monsters and Starlog, and you knew his name long before you should have. But if you didn't, but went to movies and saw movies like Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark or Poltergeist or Ghostbusters or any number of films, you've benefited from his work. Richard Edlund is my guest today, who's one of the pioneering special effects artists in showbiz, current showbiz, post-war showbiz, and has a new memoir coming out called We Think Composite, but we're not sure yet. Here's my first question. You've survived several revolutions.
Right.
And, we're in the middle of a new one. And I think like every previous revolution, everyone thinks it's the end of the world. And it will.
This time it really is.
Yeah. It does feel like that sometimes. The revolution that you played a huge part in terms of technical ability in film, soon became just the standard that suffered its own revolution later.
Right.
You take the R out in its evolution. It's just nature doesn't favor the strong;
Right.
It favors the most adaptable. But I don't want to go that far ahead. I want to get to how you were Thing.
Oh, what?
How you were Thing in the Addams Family.
Thing?
In the Addams Family.
You mean, well, okay. So after I got
I know I'm jumping ahead, but people need to know you were Thing in the Addams Family.
that's my hand in the main title.
Yeah.
For example. Anyhow.
No small achievement.
Well, I just happened to be there, and I was fairly dexterous, and
then you saw Thing merchandise, and you think, "Where's my money? That's my hand."
Yeah, right. I never got a nickel for that, and they didn't want to shoot inserts during production because it took a lot of time, and they had actors standing around, and so this is just a hand sticking out of a hole in a table, right?
Yeah.
I was the crew to shoot this. There was no director, but I was the cameraman. I was the gaffer. I was the one-man band.
You designed the original Star Trek TV series font?
Yeah, I became, when I was working for Westheimer, I became a lettering artist because I saw this guy that would come in and do a lettering job for a main title, and I'd say, I could do that.
Right.
And so I started designing main titles for shows. And then when Star Trek came along, I did the main title for Star Trek with that angular font. And Roddenberry liked it so much that he wanted that same style font to be used for other credits in the movie. So in order to not have to hand letter dozens of title cards,
You just designed the font.
I designed the font, and there was a technique that we were using called phototypesetting. So basically once you had the font, you could size the letters and do them one at a time, and you could see the letters developing as you were going along.
Got it.
In negative. So you'd present the new letter next to the last one and position it, and then you'd hit the white light, and then it would expose that, and it would immediately start developing. And so when you'd move it to the next one, this one would be black on clear, because it was you were
already developed.
You were composing with red light.
Right.
And the film was the photographic material wasn't sensitive to red, so that was how you. So anyway,
Right. What is that font style called?
God, I don't know, because I did that when I was working for Joe. Joe Westheimer had the company. There were three companies that basically did the visual effects for Star Trek. Westheimer Company, Lynn Dunn's company called Film Effects of Hollywood, and Frank Vanderveer's Vanderveer Photo, I think, was the third one.
I don't know if this is a question you can answer. I'm so envious of people who lived in Southern California from like the mid 60s to the mid 70s.
Well, I was a hippie during that exact time.
Right. There was a time in the summer of 1967 where you could have gone from the set of the original Planet of the Apes, driven across town to watch them film the original Star Trek, and then end the night on the Sunset Strip watching the Doors play. All on the same. I mean, what an incredible, fervent time. And all of these clubs like the Haunted House and the Sea Witch that because I'm an LA history nut, and I'm always looking. There's just places that you went to. Pandora's Box.
Well, I went kind of from Victor Feldman to the Doors, or to Dylan, actually. I mean, the Doors were okay.
Yeah. They're the favorite band of the 14-year-old in all of us.
Well, I was working for Westheimer, and let's see. Then
Could you be a hippie around those guys? Because those are all old school.
Which guys?
All the old, like the guys that you're working for are all like World War II veterans.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of hard ass guys.
Right. Well, Joe was Joe Westheimer was a Caltech graduate.
Okay.
So he was like an electrical engineer at Caltech.
What is interesting to me is to be in the beginnings of the business at that time, and all of these other iconic people, Lucas, Spielberg, and then musically as well. You're all in the same place at the same time. Yeah,
we're kind of in the same milieu, right?
Yeah, doing and working. Maybe working for these older people. These sort of old guard guys.
Right.
I don't know if you ever worked with Alfred Hitchcock, but he was working in town at that time. He had a TV show going.
No, Irwin Allen.
Yeah, Irwin Allen. All the and all those shows.
And Twilight Zone and
all Outer Limits. All of those things are going.
So we're doing shots for a lot of those.
Yeah, and you're working. You're working all over the place, and all of you guys, you move about 5 years up into the late 60s, early 70s. The film industry sort of falls into your lap.
Right.
And after sort of Easy Rider.
I became a serious hippie, you know, and I basically jobbed out of the movie business for a few years. You ever know Reeve Whitson? Reeve was a good friend of mine. Reeve was working for Bugliosi.
Vincent Bugliosi, the lawyer.
And was charged with kind of infiltrating this whole scene with Manson and the Beach Boys, and he was buddies with all these people. Before that, he was with the CIA, and he was working out of in and out of Berlin. Boy, he was a real charming guy. He was about 6'2", and he would get out of his car, and no light would come on inside the car because he took the light bulbs out.
Wow.
Because I mean, he didn't want to be a target for anybody when.
Well, and I don't think people understand. You know, people don't understand now as the counterculture here, you know, became so prevalent.
Yeah.
That the CIA and the FBI did look at it as a national security issue.
Right. Right.
And they were a threat. And what the Manson killings did, and I'm telling you nothing you don't know, was gave law enforcement at a local and federal level a way to demonize the counterculture. It went from flower power to they're going to kill you.
Right.
And that's why there's the giant conspiracy that I don't ascribe to, that Manson was actually created by the CIA.
Yeah. Well, did you ever read Chaos, the book?
No, but I know the book.
It's about this thick.
Right.
And it really lets you know Reeve is in there. I'm even in there.
Oh, in Chaos?
Because they interviewed me.
Okay.
Because Reeve was such a good friend. And in fact, he died on us. He wound up with brain cancer. And the night I went over to visit him, and I brought him some Ensure because he said, I can't eat anything because this radiation is making me
ill.
Everything tastes like metal.
Right.
And so he died that night.
Oh my God. I live in Laurel Canyon, so I'm everywhere. You know, I go to the Laurel Canyon Country Store every day, basically. So that stuff is all still right in your sort of a historical
Houdini's house and all that.
Yes, right around the corner. Who calls you first, John Dykstra or George Lucas?
I was working at Abel's. And so
Robert Abel was a special
Abel
effects
Associates,
company.
Right. This would have been 1974.
Right, mid-70s, yeah.
Yeah.
First blush of what became the revolution of special effects in the mid-70s came from Robert Abel on television. It wasn't in movies.
Right, because Abel got all the credit.
Right.
We're the ones that created all this stuff.
That did it. And he later became infamous, and we'll get to that or we won't, but that's not the story we're here to tell.
Anyway.
But I do know that story.
But the thing is that Abel had this terrible technique of management where he pissed everybody off to the point where everybody wanted to kill his son of a bitch, you know? But then
I know a lot of people like that.
At the same time, he was so charming. It was sort of like, I call it, it's like between the Silver Tongue Order and What Makes Sammy Run. I mean, that's where he was like.
Well, in my business, there's like, you know, there are these people that everybody has worked for, but nobody works for twice.
Yeah. But I mean, so anyway.
So you're in LA and you're working and you're making a great living and you get a call.
So I came out of Pig Nose and I said, no, I'm back. I'm back now.
Yeah.
You know, back behind the camera where I wanted to be.
Right. And somebody, either George Lucas or John Dykstra, somebody calls you and says, we're making this movie, but we're gonna do it differently than the way they're doing it.
Well, basically I got a call from Dykstra, and I knew Dykstra from Silent Running and one of the movies that he'd worked on. And he knew about me because of Abel's and other things that I'd done. And so, I got a call one day, and it's John Dykstra, and he says, hey, Richard, he says, I was wondering if you'd like to come out and talk to Gary Kurtz and I about this science fiction movie that Fox wants to make. And I said, say no more.
Yeah.
You know, so I jumped in my then Volkswagen hot rod and sped out to 6842 Valjean Avenue and met with Gary and John. And we immediately started talking about this movie that George wanted to make. We had all these dynamic flyby shots.
Now, had you heard of George Lucas before? Because
Yeah, of course.
counterculture
You know, I mean,
guy,
THX and
graffiti. Of course, American Graffiti was big. Yeah,
Yeah, and Harrison Ford had a bit part in American Graffiti.
that's right. And he was many people's pot dealer.
Many people's what?
Pot dealer.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And he was also a hippie carpenter.
Yes, he was a hippie carpenter, but there's
So we hit it off on that way.
yeah, he dated Eve Babbitt, and there's a story about like Eve Babbitt's brother or somebody was living in New York, and his kids wanted to go see Star Wars, and he didn't even know what it was, and he takes him to the movies, and they get into the canteen, and he goes, "Holy shit, that's my pod dealer."
Well, and the thing is that George didn't want to cast him.
No,
I mean, it's like it's like
And he
call
didn't-
the foundation for the blind.
yeah, he didn't want him for Indy.
know?
He didn't want him for Indy either.
I know he wanted Tom Selleck.
Yeah,
Can you imagine that?
it's one of those things. It's it's like
And he didn't like Karen Allen either.
only there are people that are, and they're so, how can you be so right and also so wrong? But I think
Yeah.
it's one of those things where only a genius could get it so wrong,
Right. Well, he is a genius. I mean, he parlayed those goddamn Ewoks into hundreds of millions,
Oh, yeah.
right?
No, it's
We hated those damn things.
everybody did. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody liked
It's like you could see the zippers on their back.
Well, but let's get. I want to get to the. But I want to stay on Valjean now. I want to stay on Valjean.
So anyway, I
and
get
Van Nuys.
out to Valjean, and John is there with Gary, and Gary's talking about this movie that George had put together out of like found footage that he
Yeah.
had made out of like the Battle of Britain,
Yeah,
and
Gambusters and
Gambusters and these movies that had shots, and
because it's important that nobody had shot outer space the way George Lucas envisioned it.
right, because
2001 was 2001,
well, that was ponderous.
but that's what I mean. It's and even Star Trek, the show,
Yeah, right.
and I mean the big
I rotoscoped that first shot, by the way, in Star Trek,
the flyby.
the flyby, and we could put it together right to left, and then we could flap it, and then it would come
Right,
left to right.
and.
So we got 2 for the 1.
But that's all it was. But that's all it was. I mean, even in Silent Running, and it was this stationary camera
Right,
and a model going through it on a 2-dimensional plane,
right,
and was just a given.
right,
That's what you did.
Right.
And George envisioned a very dynamic
right.
camera. And you're
Well, he
dealing
didn't
with models.
he didn't envision the camera. He
Well,
just,
I mean, what would he envisioned things that would require it?
what it would require that kind of photography.
Right.
And I mean, I'd done a lot of stop motion stuff for Westheimer,
Right.
where you move and shoot, and then
Right.
you move it and shoot, move it.
Phil Tippett.
And the thing is that it's sort of like the Harryhausen wings, right?
You get strobe.
That flip and flop.
Right.
And so it couldn't be like that. It had to look real.
Right.
So we talked about that, and he had 365 shots planned.
Yeah.
And
It is a modern, for people who don't realize, a modern equivalent. It's almost like Avatar. And it's like, I want to make this movie, but first I have to build the science
right,
to create the stuff I need to make the movie.
right. Well, that was the case,
Yeah.
and we recognized that. And John and I, we were on the same plan right away.
Right.
I mean, I got that right away. And then I said, well, we got to shoot blue screen too, by the way.
Right.
And he said, no, we're going to do front light and backlight. And I said, no, that wasn't going to work. And I explained to him photographically that the mats wouldn't be the same with a front light backlight shot.
Right. What is a front light backlight shot?
Front light, back light is where you shoot the model against black,
Right.
and you light the model, and that's your beauty shot.
That's what 2001 did, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you shoot the
Starfield.
the matte.
What is the matte?
The matte is what holds the model out when you put it in front of a background.
Got it.
In the case of Star Wars, about 90% of the 90% of the shots were against starfield. So that means the easiest matte to deal with, you
Right.
know. But at the same time, there were a lot of shots that weren't that way. So anyway, I said, you know, we'll shoot it blue screen, and that way we can get the matte off the original negative, and everything will be fine. And so we hit it off, and after about, 40 minutes maybe, I had the job. You know, and we were on the same page, and I said, and I was going to get $600 a week, and that's twice as much as I was making for
Right.
Able.
Did you have any, but you couldn't have had any idea how long that job was going to go? Or
No,
did-
it was a 2-year deal.
Okay, so they knew it was coming out
We
in
knew that it was going
1977.
to come out on Memorial Day
Memorial Day
of
weekend, 1977.
1977.
And you, but
And
you
so
also just,
we had to put the system together, and to design the system, create it,
right.
put all the shots, design all the shots, shoot all the shots, composite them. And,
Right.
and
It's
there
like
were,
you-
there were
it's like you're
thousands of
yeah.
elements.
Yeah, it's like you were hired to win a race, but first you had to find a factory, build the factory, design the factory to make the parts, to make the
Right.
car, to drive the car, to win the race.
right. And the shoes on top
Yeah,
of it.
exactly. You had to do everything. Yeah. And did Lucas understand? Because all the stories are, it's not coming in, it's not coming in. He's wondering
Well,
why it
George,
takes so long.
George is not a gearhead. So Gary Kurtz is a gearhead.
Okay.
And what is not well known is that ILM wouldn't have existed without Gary Kurtz's support,
Uh-huh.
because he understood what we had to build this cockamamie system
Right.
in order to do this, in order to get this kind of blurry image that the 10-year-old is going to accept as reality,
Right.
because the 10-year-old is your worst critic.
Right.
Because the minute it looks funny to him, he's saying, "Hey, that looks funny,"
Right.
and it doesn't matter why you've lost him.
Right.
So he's off the dramatic train.
Well put. And so, and I know that there's a famous story. You basically, what was it, 6842 Valjean?
6842.
Did that become Apogee?
It did. After when I finished Star Wars, which was a real bloodbath. It was like no air conditioning, and it was a tin building.
Oh,
And we were shooting most of it during the summer, when in shorts and
yeah. No, there's
tank tops.
There's a story that, and you guys had to have lived in that building. Did you ever
Oh.
go home?
Well, yeah. Here's the way it went. I was shooting the day crew,
Uh-huh.
and I would get there at like 8 or I think 7 or 8 in the morning, and I'd shoot until 6 at night. And then Gary, and then Dennis would come in.
Dennis Murin?
Yeah. And he would shoot the night crew.
Okay.
And Ken Ralston was on the Rama, and he was shooting the cannons going boom, boom.
Right.
Stuart Ziff built the system that made him go back and forth.
Right.
We had roving geniuses,
There's a story that the studio execs came and you guys were sliding off the roof into a hot tub.
I was not.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, there was,
Well, you have to do that also to just blow off steam to stay sane.
yeah, who told me that was the case? You told me.
No, we were at the reunion.
At the reunion.
Reunion. It was Joe Johnston.
Joe Johnston.
Said it was his.
It was his father
Slide.
got the slide, right? So Joe Johnston, who is an incredibly talented guy,
Yeah.
wonderful man. Anyway, so Joe, and by the way, Joe storyboarded half of Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah,
He
I had the
he
Star Wars
basically
ske-
directed
I
the
had
movie for
I had
George.
I had the Star Wars sketchbook when I was a kid that it was his. All
I
of
mean,
his stuff.
you didn't see all of the boards, but I mean,
Yeah.
he boarded sequence after sequence, and he knew how to block scenes. You know.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, he's a good director. Joe's a good director.
Very good guy.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so, but people think like you guys had to have been stoned. No, you can't work.
No,
you can't do
no,
that.
nobody
So
got stoned during
Yeah.
Star Wars.
You
Star
can't-
Wars, and
You're working too hard.
yeah, and there wasn't even any coke around it that I knew of on Star
Right.
Wars. I mean, it was basically the optical department got Robbie Blaylock got into Est. When was it Werner? What was his name?
Werner Erhardt. Yeah.
Werner Erhardt, right? He was the Est guy, and you'd be jettisoned if you took off. You couldn't go out to the there were no bathroom. You couldn't go out for bathroom calls. You know, you had to sit through the whole thing.
Oh God.
And he'd go on for like 12 hours. I don't know. I never went to that, but
We called them Estol.
Est holes.
Est holes.
So
Anyway, the optical
did
department
Lu-
was into that. But
And
anyway.
then, so towards the end of the shoot, when principal photography wrapped, did Lucas then start showing up every day and trying to?
No, what
gain some
happened is
control?
once we finished,
Because I know
this-
Lucas and Dykstra did not get on.
well, it was not Lucas and Dykstra directly. It was, I mean, the problem John had was that if he had an idea and he was convinced that was the holy truth, he would not budge away from that.
Right.
I mean, he would fight for that to the bloody end.
Right.
And the problem is he could then keep Gary Kurtz on the phone for like 45, 50 minutes haggling over this kind of stuff. And Gary's trying to produce this show.
Right.
And he's got his hand full. And besides that, I mean, the British crew for the longest time didn't think that Star Wars was even worth going to work for.
No, I know that Lucas had a hell of a time in Britain shooting it because nobody respected him.
Well,
Nobody thought
yeah,
it
and the
was
thing
any
is
good.
that he, not only that, but he had diabetes, you know.
Oh, I didn't know.
George was diabetic, and so they had to keep his blood sugar up with bananas and what do you call it, and egg McMuffins.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, it took a lot out of him to direct that.
Yeah, no, I think it almost killed him.
Yeah. And then as a side note, I mean, he shot this very complex sequence of the Space Academy with Red Leader and all those
Right.
guys, the pilots. And it was a long sequence. And Marcia said, "You don't need this, George. It's just dragging the movie down."
Yeah, we just lost Marsha Lucas 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know.
think.
She was a pal. I'm sorry about that.
And what a lot of people might not know is that like Marsha Lucas was George's wife, and she was not the original editor of the movie, but ended up editing the film with Paul Hirsch, I believe.
Right.
And she kind of saved the movie.
Yeah, she did. And she and as I always said, she was the heart of Star Wars. You know, and
She put the emotion into it, and
Right,
the emotional
and-
drive into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you do that as an editor, you know, you can, it's a sense that you instill
Yeah.
the picture with. And,
Yeah,
and
a film is
and
written
George
three-
didn't have that. As you can see, the prequels were like refrigerator dry.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it was. They say a film is written 3 times: when you write it, when you shoot it, and when you cut it.
Right.
And Marsha and Paul Hirsch really did make Star Wars what it is. The best example is, well, the Death Star was not going to blow up the Rebel base. It was just sitting there in space, and they attacked it. And Marcia put a clock on it. All of the stuff about the Rebel base being in, putting a clock on the battle was Marcia.
Right.
And if you look,
well, that's the editor.
And if you look, all of that stuff is in editing. It's just the voiceover going, the Rebel base will be in train in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
There's never a scene where Peter Cushing says, we're going to kill these guys in 2 minutes. It's all in the edit. It's all in the editing. And what that does is it puts a clock on the final scene. And Luke, the whole Force thing with Luke, that was all Marcia too. He did 2 runs, one with the computer and one without. And Marcia said, no, just have him start with the computer. Obi-Wan talks to him. And I think it was her idea to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right. So anyway, yeah, I mean, as much as we disagree with George and all this and that, I mean, when we finished building the system, and so basically, I mean, as I put it, we built this violin, and then we had to learn how to play it.
Exactly.
And the thing is that and you had to play it one channel at a time, at 1/24th or 1/48th speed.
Right.
So I mean, the track, the boom, tilt, the model move, the traverse. I mean, all these tweaks that had to be done to make the shot work had to be done by the seat of the pants.
Yeah.
Basically. And not only that, the fact that they were a little bit funky here and there was what gave it the humanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it wasn't these mathematically perfect splines, that Star Trek had, and that Trumbull had in his shots. They were beautiful and magnificent, but they were boring.
Yeah.
It
has to, that somebody said, and I wish it was me, and we're getting into, as you get into digital effects, this is not what you're saying, but it's the same thing. Like digital, practical effects look fake but feel real. Digital effects look real but feel fake.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's an organic feeling to
what's missing from digital effects is serendipity.
Yeah.
I mean, the serendipity that occurs when you're shooting that you weren't thinking about when you were getting ready to shoot is what makes that, what makes a normal movie into a fantastic movie.
And the best example of that is the 3 biggest movies of the 1970s, The Godfather, Jaws, and Star Wars. All of them were saved by serendipity because none of them were the movie that they thought they were making on the first day of shooting.
Right.
They all suffered huge, crazy upheavals.
Right. And then who is the guy that was the special effects guy on Jaws?
Oh, Joe Alves.
Joe Alves, right.
Yeah.
And the
shark didn't work.
The shark did not work.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it just like in Alien, if you remember Alien, it was the same issue with the alien. Didn't work either, but it was saved by abbreviating the cuts.
And
you had, one of the great shots of all time was the chest hugger.
Right.
I mean, that chest burst, nobody will ever forget that. And everybody wishes they'd never seen it.
And the reason the shark didn't work was because they tested the system in fresh water. And then they put it in the ocean. And the salt ate the system.
Oh, yeah. Well, it all probably floated it, too.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So after Star Wars, you're suddenly... Have you ever been could you basically write your own ticket as to what you wanted? I mean, all of you guys, I'm assuming, are being poached by people after Star Wars to recreate Star Wars.
Nobody tried to poach me, but they couldn't. What the hell? Am I going to
But
Is somebody going to steal me away from Empire?
right. Well, Glenn Larson tried. Did he? I mean, because
Glenn Larson was like, well, yeah, Glenn Larson, and
who basically made Star Wars into a TV show.
yeah, I mean,
And even I will say, Battlestar
he was
Galactica,
like the prince of plagiarism.
Yeah.
I mean, he walked around Universal with a Guns of Navarone script under his arm, and he was bragging about stealing parts of the movie for Galactica, the show that we did.
Well, I was 14 when Battlestar Galactica came on. And even at 14, I was like, Jesus, they're going to get sued. I mean, even the models were.
The first one was terrible. And the thing is, when I was doing Battlestar Galactica.
So you worked on that with Dykstra in 77?
I got an Emmy for that.
Okay. So how did George hire you back, but not John?
Well, because John had basically kind of burned his bridges with George, and he was, in his way. I mean, John's a very talented guy, and I learned a lot from John, and I appreciate him, like a brother, and yet he sometimes shoots himself in the foot without. I mean,
right.
I hate to even say that, but
oh no, I have friends like that. Like, as I used to say, I'll burn that bridge when I come to it.
Yeah, right. So anyway, yeah, but I knew I was going to get call, and so I was after Galactica,
even though you went to Galactica, you knew that George was going to call you back for Empire. Or was Gary going to call you back?
Gary was going to call me back.
Right.
Because George didn't make those calls.
Right.
And not only that, I mean, George, once we came through with this fucking incredible movie
right.
for him, he never gave us a word of appreciation.
Right. No, he's a very Calvinist kind of guy. It's all his dad.
Yeah.
It's all, it's like, that's the amazing thing about all these stories is like, it's all so personal. Like why was George the way he was? Why was he the way he was with Marshall? Why was it the way he was with Bill? Well, look at the way George's father was with him, and it's like, you don't need Freud to see this stuff played out.
Right.
I find that Lucas's friendship with Coppola is so fascinating because they're so different.
Yeah.
They're so very different. What did Brian Johnson do on Empire?
Well, Brian was a physical effects guy.
Okay.
So he was he did the physical effects on Empire and did a very good job on that. And he was very good at that. He didn't have hardly anything to do with the visual effects.
Okay. So
I mean, he was trying to sell George. He was creating a nebula with a airbrush, and George says, "We don't need that."
Yeah. When you say physical effects, is he just practical on set stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Right. Yeah. In other words, the explosions on
right.
Building the stuff that withstood the temperatures of the glacier.
Right. But he didn't go near the asteroid field or any of that stuff. That was
the asteroid field. That was Ken. Ken shot the asteroid field.
Ken Ralston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a potato or two in there.
That's what I heard.
But it's blurring by, so you really don't see the eyes looking at you.
It's a potato nonetheless. But that is the lesson as we see where like film is today. Everybody thinks that AI is going to eliminate actors and that AI is gonna do all of these things. We don't know what it's going to do. Like everyone thought in 79, movies are over. They just want special effects. And the minute you think you know what's going to happen, something else happens.
Well, to the dumbed down sub-teen audience, that's the case. I mean, you see them clamoring to the box office to watch, what the hell is the worst movie I've seen in the last 10 years? Aquaman.
Oh, yeah.
They want to see Aquaman 2.
Yeah.
And it's like the dumbest movie I think I ever saw.
I see an Avengers film, and I know I'm in the minority, but I have no emotional involvement at all.
Well, like you say, I mean, it's like it's the whole thing about the visual effects are funky, but they look great.
Yeah.
And
and
and digital effects look great, but they don't work.
And then you get a movie like Obsession, which has just practical makeup effects.
I haven't seen that, but
You have seen it. It's an episode of The Twilight Zone called The Closer.
Oh, yeah, right.
But it's fine.
In that way, I've seen it,
Yeah. But it's fine because, my daughter's 23, and it's like, why are you guys going to this movie? Because I know this story. It's Monkey's Paw. It's the Monkey's Paw. And I didn't know. It's about incel culture, which is a big problem for that generation.
Yeah.
And so you get a movie that talks to people on an emotional level and they respond.
Right.
And now the studios are looking for what's the next thing on the internet. It's not,
right.
My friend Kevin Rooney.
Well, let's remake Masters of the Universe.
Yeah. My friend Kevin Rooney had the best quote about, like, Hollywood is the only place where they see lightning strike a field. They'll see lightning strike a tree in a field. And they'll run out to the tree and go, this is where lightning strikes. Lightning will strike here again in a minute. Like, no, it strikes and then it goes someplace else. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. So after you ended up with your own company called Boss Films, and you did start to bring in what became known as the digital revolution. You were one of the first big companies to do that.
Right. Spent a lot of money.
What were some of the things that Boss Films did that sort of segued out of practical effects and into the digital world?
When I was doing, when I was doing Hunt for Red October, I got shafted incredibly by McTiernan, who's like one of the most brutal assholes that ever walked. I mean, even though we did Die Hard and we did a great job on that, and that's one of the best action adventures.
Yeah.
And I did Raiders, those are the top
Pretty
two.
Pretty good movie.
So because of that, and my friend Sid Ganis was the head of Paramount at the time.
Right.
And they were actually going to sue Boss to kill the company. And because my attorney had written an incredible contract for me, they couldn't touch me.
And why did McTiernan? What did McTiernan
I don't
try to
understand.
Did he want you off?
I don't understand what was with McTiernan. And the thing is that he made me composite one of the shots that was like a perfect shot with the background like processed blue. He says, I want it bluer than that. And I said, well, you can't get it any bluer than this,
Right.
And I can't understand why you want it like this, John, but that's as blue as it can get. I'm sitting in the audience and this shot goes by and the Paramount executives are sitting there wondering what the hell is that,
Yeah.
And McTiernan is just sitting there in his chair stinking, not saying any word, letting me fry in the wind. What a son of a bitch.
On the original Star Wars trilogy, you worked with Lucas, and in every movie almost killed him. Like even Empire, which there was, because of his basically an independent movie and how it was financed and budgeted. And, he had to learn every mistake 4 times. And then and Jedi apparently, the problem on Empire was that Irvin Kershner would say no.
Right.
And the problem on Jedi was that Richard Marquand would not.
Right. Well, it was like a boring movie, and I thought it was sort of like the Christmas present with a nice big red bow on it, and it was a boring movie, frankly. And I wrote an article in a magazine called Sci-Fi Universe in 1997 called 50 Reasons Return of the Jedi Sucks that apparently he read and did not appreciate. No doubt.
It looks like a TV movie. It's
not only that,
I mean,
but
unforgivable things.
But Marcia cut out about maybe even an eighth and a quarter of the way through the post-production.
Right, right.
So she wasn't there for the editing of Jedi.
Yeah. And then were you involved in the prequels at all?
No.
So when you saw Phantom Menace,
that was the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to.
It must have been something of a shock.
I went to the Grove to see that, and I mean, they shot it with the Sony the 1.5K or 1.2K camera, and they had in this great big screen digital projection, and I mean, I'm saying. I turned to this. I was with this friend of mine who was an editor, and I said, "What's this movie about?"
I know it was. I was there on opening night, and then it was one of those. You could feel it from the first frame. Sometimes a movie, just like from the first frame, you go, "Oh,
yeah,"
or you go, "Oh." I remember the first frame of Ed Wood, Tim Burton's Ed Wood. I was like, this movie's phenomenal. And the first frame of Phantom Menace or the other experience I remember really clearly was Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. First frame, I'm like, oh, this is garbage. And you could just tell.
Yeah.
There's a weird thing about it. Do you still go to the movies and feel hopeful when you see things? You're like, oh, they're
sometimes,
good.
But I don't go to any of those effects movies. I mean, I just spare myself the time because I think I find them to be vacuous and silly.
Yeah,
Do
you always get the like when there's a new J.J. Abrams Star Wars film? Do you get the automatic because you're a member of the family?
I'll hear from Gene whether it's any good.
From Gene
Kozicki.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Should I go to this? I don't think you need to go to this one.
There are. I thought Rogue One was really good. I really.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. That was the only one.
Yeah.
And the thing is what's really funny about Kathy. So Kathy Kennedy was there during all these sort of fuck ups.
Well, they're just remakes.
Well, I mean, in other words, they basically were nailing the coffin shut on Star Wars.
I agree
with each one of these.
Yeah.
And there were too many and too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Burned out.
And even they get Jon Favreau to direct this, and he's like a pretty sharp guy.
Yeah. But the kids don't care. It's all, to use a colorful term, they're all fucked out.
To getting back to, the first opening shots of a movie on Star Wars, I knew that the opening shot was the most important shot in the movie.
Who designed that shot? The overhead?
I did.
Because that was...
Well, I knew that shot was going to be the most important shot. And if the audience was not overwhelmed by that shot, the movie was in trouble.
And I can tell you, I was 12. I was a month away from my 13th birthday. And I, because the special effects movies, the science fiction movies, and I was always a fan, the last summer was Logan's Run.
Yeah, right.
And if you watch Logan's Run, it don't look like Star Wars.
No.
I mean, it is a, and then Planet of the Apes, which is a different animal.
Right.
No pun intended. Nothing had ever been.
Right.
And additionally, the Enterprise was always middle of the screen, left to right or right to left.
Yeah.
And the idea that this thing came over you,
Right.
no one had ever done that before. I mean,
Right.
and I can tell you it worked
Right.
because I remember seeing it at 12, 13, and you had me.
Right. Well, I finally, we had a shot about maybe between 3/5 and 4/5 of the movie. And I said, we better start thinking about getting that opening shot because that's the most crucial shot we're going to make. And so I told Frank, because we had the Star Destroyer was like this long.
Uh-huh.
And I told Grant to have his best guys get on the bottom of that ship and trick it out as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so he did, and he brought it out, and I had him make a little blockade runner that's
Right.
this big, and I stuck it on a paper clip out in front, just as a test.
Right.
And I figured out a shot length. Took a while to get the model to be exactly the right angle so that I could basically bring the lens, actually scrape the surface, the lens hood.
Uh-huh.
And I had a tilting lens board so I could tilt the focus plane, and I could damn near hold focus without stopping down the whole length of the ship. Did it as a test, and the next morning everybody was knocked out.
Yeah, no, that's that.
And I knew we'd gotten it, sent it up to George, and he was really excited about it.
Yeah, no, that was.
And
It absolutely worked. I mean, and it established the visual, it established a new visual language in 10 seconds.
I think there were 4 crucial decisions that were made on Star Wars that made it work. Ralph McQuarrie's initial paintings,
Uh-huh.
which enabled George to sell the movie, and it basically it production designed the whole movie. The casting of Alec Guinness to play Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was genius because we had to have somebody. I was worried
With gravitas.
I knew there was a problem with the script because it was like, who's going to make this play?
Right.
It's going to be Brando or somebody like that.
Yeah.
And I knew he couldn't afford Brando.
Right. He wanted to Shiro Mifune and he passed.
Oh, the third was John Williams' music.
Right.
And the fourth is ILM.
Right.
I mean, without ILM, the movie didn't work.
Right. No, it didn't. No. And I don't know. And then and then the final after that, Marcia making sure that.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's Ben Burt.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
there's so many.
There's
people want it to be one person because it's easier to think about.
I mean, the 4 most important ones are those, and Ben Burt comes as close 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, R2D2 is not a character without Ben Burt.
Right.
Yeah. Your memoir is coming out. We'll make sure that the title is correct, and we have a link in the show notes when it comes up. This interview is going to come up before your book comes out.
All right.
But do you still consult on things, or are you just a man of leisure now? Or
I still have the Forever War property. I still own that, and it's currently being optioned by Apple.
Oh, okay.
And so that's, and I'll be involved.
Here's one thing they can't tell you. We don't have the money.
Yeah, right. We'd have to worry about that, right? It's not a $1 trillion company. Anyway, so anyway, that's still going. And I'm still trying to find a director for Occupied, which is a script I did. It's a love story that takes place in occupied Japan, 1945.
Oh, wow. Wow.
46.
Something you would know.
Which is a very interesting period. That
Yeah, immediate 45 to 50 in Berlin and in Tokyo. Those are under such fascinating stories.
But nobody sees anything about the occupation.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been a couple of movies. There's one John Wayne movie made a long time ago. But
not known for his historical accuracy.
Right.
Richard Edlund, thank you so much for giving me your afternoon.
They're true tales from Weirdsville. Tales from Weirdsville. And they're true.
Can your heart stand the shocking facts?
The year was 1941, and New York theater scene's resident enfant terrible, Orson Welles, was preparing to leave for Hollywood, where he was going to make his first movie under his new contract with RKO. No one knew what the film was about. They just knew its strange title, Citizen Kane. Before Welles left, there was a young man. This young man knew Welles from odd jobbing around Broadway theaters, which he'd been doing since he was about 15. The man had been orphaned young. He dropped out of high school and found a home for himself in the New York theater scene. There he found opportunity, and now he had an idea. But an idea alone can't accomplish much. What this young man needed at this moment was a theater. Now, Orson Welles didn't have a theater, but he had the money to lease a theater. So this enterprising young man with a big idea talked his way into Welles' office and took his best shot at convincing the future director of Citizen Kane to lease the Stony Theater in Connecticut for him. And surprisingly, Welles went for it. With one win under his belt, the young man moved on to the next phase of his big idea. As it happened, he had an in with a very popular theatrical leading lady at the time, Ellen Schwanecke. The problem was, Schwanecke was born in Berlin, and there was a rule in place at the time to discourage foreign actors from taking jobs from good old American actors. The rule stated that if your leading actress was born in, say, Berlin, then she could only star in productions written by a German. No problem. It was soon announced that Ellen Schwanecke would be gracing the stage of the Stony Theater in Connecticut in the new German play Das Ich nicht verkinde, which is translated to the saucy, not for children. Now, no one had ever heard of Das Ich nicht verkinde, because at the time, the play didn't exist. This young producer had made the whole thing up. So he spent the weekend writing the play, having it translated into German and then back into English. He took that and on Monday morning began rehearsing the translation of the fake play that he wrote. And then he got lucky again. He got re-lucky. For it was right around here that Ellen Schwanecke was invited by her native Germany's ruling party, the Nazis, to return to Munich to give a performance. She declined for obvious reasons, which is when the young producer leaked to the papers that his play starred, and I quote, "The girl who said no to Hitler." Now that was a pretty popular attitude among young red-blooded Americans in 1941, but someone objected to it, and the Stony Theater was soon vandalized with spray-painted swastikas. The story filled the papers, and buying a ticket for Das Ich nicht verkinde soon became an act of patriotism. If the Nazis and their U.S. sympathizers wanted to stop this show from taking place, then their plan backfired pretty spectacularly. Right? Right? Well, not really. No Nazi ever went near the Stony Theater in Connecticut, so who vandalized it? The same guy who produced the play, and wrote it, for that matter. He put up a play that didn't exist and had the theater vandalized by imaginary Nazis, caused a cause celeb, and cleaned up at the box office for his efforts. Who is this P.T. Barnum-esque character, you ask? Why, no one other than William Schloss Jr. Who? Well, That was his name at birth. But by now he changed it. Schloss was a German word, so he changed it to that word's English language translation. William Castle was on the loose. Now, not long after the success of Not for Children, Castle moved to Hollywood, where he talked his way into a job as a dialogue director at Columbia Pictures, working for Harry Kahn, which I can't imagine was easy. Kahn was, by all accounts, a spectacular asshole. When Columbia Pictures star Kim Novak, who was white, started dating Sammy Davis Jr., who was not, Kahn had some friends in organized crime tell Mr. Davis, and I quote, "Leave Novak and marry a black woman, or you'll lose your other eye." Davis did, kept his eye, and his short-lived marriage to dancer Lorraine White, who he tried to drunkenly strangle on their wedding night, is a whole other story unto itself. Maybe next time. Back to William Castle, who quickly found his way into Columbia's Apprentice Director program and directed his first film, Chance of a Lifetime, a minor entry in the Boston Blackie series of B-movies. I think there were like 13 of them. It did not make him an overnight success, but he was on his way. He directed a few more movies and some minor film series and eventually managed to work directly with his old theater rental buddy Orson Welles. In 1947, as a second unit location manager on Lady from Shanghai. But William Castle wanted more. He wanted to make his own movies. After seeing the 1955 French film Les Diaboliques, a film well worth watching if you haven't, Castle thought, hey, I can do that. Or at least something to that effect. Diabolique also had a huge impact on Alfred Hitchcock, which is weird because Alfred Hitchcock had a huge impact on Les Diaboliques. Never one to do things in half measures, William Castle mortgaged his own house and made his 1958 film Macabre. It's a decent film, but no Diabolique. So how does one get people to see this somewhat middle-of-the-road indie thriller? Well, if you're William Castle, you take out a $1,000 Lloyd's of London life insurance policy ensuring that anyone who dies of fright while watching your movie gets paid. More importantly, you advertise that there is a $1,000 Lloyd's of London life insurance policy ensuring that anyone who dies of fright while watching your film gets paid, and you advertise it a lot. You advertise it more than the actual film.
Your attention, please. During every suspenseful moment of the running of the motion picture Macabre, the life of everyone in this theater will be insured by Lloyd's of London for $1,000 against death by fright.
William Castle was just getting started. He traveled with Macabre. He hired women to dress as nurses and stationed them in theater lobbies. He rented a hearse and parked it in front of theaters showing the film, and it worked. Macabre made back more than 10 times its budget. It was a hit. Castle realized that he was selling sizzle more than steak, which is not to say that the steak wasn't fine. It was, quite often. Usually, in fact, pretty good. But the sizzle was top shelf. Castle's next film was a terrific haunted house romp that is still a joy to watch. 1959's The House on Haunted Hill, the first of 5 movies Castle would make with Vincent Price. Price plays eccentric millionaire Frederick Lauren, who lures 5 people to a haunted house party. Now, despite what you would think from the film's poster, the house in question was not a creepy old decrepit Victorian, but the Ennis House. Designed by Frank Lloyd Wright in 1924, the Ennis House sits high atop a hill in LA's Griffith Park. The interiors for the House on Haunted Hill were shot on a soundstage, but if you'd like to see what the Ennis House looks like inside, it's all over a little film called Blade Runner. The House on Haunted Hill boasts a buoyant performance from star Vincent Price, has great sets, good scares, looks terrific, but that wasn't enough for William Castle. What he focused on, what he knew would get people into the cinemas, was a merjo. Now, in the late 50s and early 60s, theaters were still in a mad scramble to give people a reason to tear themselves away from that new addition to America's living room, the television set. CinemaScope, Cinerama, 3D, these were all creations in the great attempt to lure people into the theater. But only the House on Haunted Hill had emerjo. At a certain point in the movie, a skeleton rises from a vat of acid to terrorize the character of Frederick Lauren's treacherous wife. At that instant, a life-sized plastic skeleton with glowing red eyes would emerge over the screen and float above the audience. Terrifying? No. It was frequently the target of popcorn buckets and empty soda cups. But fun? You bet. That same year, Castle released The Tingler, a meta-classic. The Tingler, also starring Vincent Price, firing on all cylinders, told the story of the titular character, the Tingler. The Tingler is a creature that invades the human body and attaches to the base of the spine. It's about the size of a lobster, so I'm not going to get into the mechanics of it. It lives off your fear and can only be killed by your screaming. Does that make sense? No! Buzzers were attached to random chairs in movie theaters, making random audience members feel that the Tingler was attacking them.
I'm William Castle, and I feel obligated to warn you about the next attraction you will see at this theater. The picture is The Tingler, which I directed. And for the first time in motion picture history, members of the audience, including you, will actually play a part in the picture.
At one point towards the film's finale, the action moves to a movie theater. And then the Tingler gets loose and gets into the projection booth. And then the projection booth in the film becomes the projection booth in the theater that you are seeing the Tingler in. As the film on screen runs off the sprockets, and only a shadow of the Tingler is shown on the movie screen in the theater that you are sitting in, while Vincent Price informs you that the Tingler is loose in this theater. Your only hope of survival is to scream. Scream for your lives. The Tingler was also the first film to feature an LSD sequence, as Vincent Price's Dr. Warren Chapin drops acid in his attempt to defeat the Tingler. Years before the Electrid Kool-Aid acid test and a full decade before Blue Boy freaked out on Dragnet, Vincent Price was letting his freak flag fly on movie screens all across the country. Next up, 13 Ghosts, filmed in Illusion-O, which gave viewers special tinted glasses which allowed them to see or not see the ghosts on screen. Homicidal, a half-hearted Psycho ripoff, featured a fright break. Just before the climactic scene in the film, a countdown clock appeared on screen, giving patrons 45 seconds to flee the cinema and get a full refund. Now, some wily patrons simply sat through the movie a second time and left at the break to get their money back. To prevent this in the future, Castle had different colored tickets printed for each showing, but some wiseacres still demanded their money back. Filmmaker John Waters, a huge William Castle fan, described Castle's response, and I quote, "William Castle simply went nuts. He came up with Coward's Corner, a yellow cardboard booth manned by a bewildered theater employee in the lobby. When the fright break was announced and you found that you couldn't take it anymore, you had to leave your seat and, in front of the entire audience, follow yellow footsteps up the aisle, bathed in a yellow light, and before you reached Coward's Corner, you crossed yellow lines with the stenciled message, 'Cowards, keep walking.' You passed a nurse who would offer you a blood pressure test. All the while, a recording was blaring, 'Watch the chicken! Watch him shiver in Coward's Corner!' As the audience howled, you had to go through one final indignity. At Coward's Corner, you were forced to sign a yellow card stating, 'I am a bona fide coward.'" And on the gimmicks went. 13 Frightened Girls featured 13 of the most beautiful women from 13 different countries. Different areas of the globe had different versions of the film featuring the actress who was closest. In Zotz, Z-O-T-Z, exclamation point, everybody got a magic glow-in-the-dark coin that did something. In Mr. Sardonicus, theatergoers could vote on the villain's fate with a punishment poll, which would determine which final reel of the film would be shown. The gimmicks were starting to grow a little threadbare. So for his next film, 1964's Study in Axe Murder, Straight Jacket, the gimmick was a bona fide movie star, Joan Crawford. An up-and-coming George Kennedy is also on hand, and at one point loses a fight to some drying laundry. You have to see it. Joan Crawford also appeared in Castle's next film, I Saw What You Did. Great title. And although that film did have a gimmick, the back 2 rows of the theaters had seatbelts installed and were labeled shock sections to ensure cinema-goers weren't shocked out of their seats. But make no mistake, the draw was definitely Joan Crawford. After the release of I Saw What You Did in 1965, Castle was looking about for his next project. He read the galley for a soon-to-be published novel by a guy named Ira Levine called Rosemary's Baby. Castle, again, mortgaged his home and got the rights to the book prior to publication. William Castle saw Rosemary's Baby as his shot at moving into the mainstream, where he could just make movies, no gimmicks, no seatbelts, no sizzle required. He was able to get it greenlit at Paramount Pictures, but the studio's new boss, Robert Evans, flat out refused to allow Castle to direct the film. Did he have somebody else in mind? You bet your ass he did. Evans persuaded his friend Roman Polanski to come to America and make Rosemary's Baby as his Hollywood debut. To star in the film, young it girl Mia Farrow was cast. Well, they wanted her to be cast, but there was a problem. Farrow was going to star in Frank Sinatra's The Detective, and to do Rosemary's Baby, she would have to bow out. This was complicated as Farrow was married to Frank Sinatra. They had tied the knot the year before when Farrow was 21 and Sinatra was 50. But Evans knew how to talk to an actress, and Farrow agreed to drop out of The Detective and make Rosemary's Baby. Sinatra, always calm and reasonable, divorced her. The two remained friends, and as a gesture of goodwill, Mia arranged it for her son Ronan Farrow to look just like Frank. Castle did produce Rosemary's Baby. At least, he had a producer credit. And he has a cameo in the beginning of the film as the guy waiting outside the phone booth while Mia Farrow was trying to get in touch with her obstetrician. Rosemary's Baby was a super-duper smash hit. But regrettably, Castle wasn't able to cash in on its success. A lifelong smoker, he suffered kidney failure not long after Rosemary's Baby's release. And by the time he was well enough to direct again, between Rosemary's Baby and the subsequent headlines around Polanski's inadvertent ties to the Manson murders, any publicity or momentum Castle might have had was gone. It's important to note regarding the Polanski involvement with the Manson murders, as I said, Sharon Tate was his wife. In the media, before the murders were solved, the tone of the press coverage was, Sharon Tate was married to that guy that made the Satan Baby movie. And these hippies get into all kinds of stuff. What kind of devilry were these druggy counterculture hippie types getting into? In other words, what do those people do to deserve this? If you ever see the Life magazine with Is Paul Dead on the cover, it was published just before Manson was caught. And the op-ed at the beginning of that issue is all that. Yeah, we may never find these people. Those hippies were into some weird crap. Anyway, William Castle's final film was 1975's Bug, which did have a gimmick, a $1 million life insurance policy on the film's star, a cockroach named Hercules. Maybe he was French, and his name was Hercule. Bug, by the way, is a wild movie. It's about a new hybrid species of giant, psychic, super-intelligent flying cockroaches who burst into flames when cornered. And it was filmed on the still-standing sets for the recently canceled The Brady Bunch. William Castle sadly passed away 2 years later in 1977 of a heart attack. He had directed over 60 films and influenced everyone from John Waters to Joe Dante, whose 1993 film Matinee stars John Goodman as fictional William Castle stand-in Lawrence Woolsey. I love Matinee, and it is the ultimate salute to William Castle. In fact, that's the ultimate salute to any movie producer. Someone went and produced a movie about him.
Listen to William Castle, whom the Saturday Evening Post calls the master of movie horror.
Do you believe in ghosts? I do. And you will too, when you come to this theater and see my picture, 13 Ghosts. When you see 13 ghosts, you'll be given a supernatural viewer like this, which will enable you to penetrate for the first time into the spirit world.
More to come from the Dana Gould Hour.
And now, on with the show.
It's a sun-dappled day high atop the Mulholland Drive view shelf here in sunny Southern California. We're coming up on a big event in Southern California that we call Midsummer Scream. And what Midsummer Scream is, it's a big Halloween event that tells people that we're halfway to summer. Halloween season is about to begin. There's already a Halloween aisle at Michael's Art Supplies. We get into it early. We get into it hard. That's why I live here. In the past, I guess 3 decades, we've seen Halloween become a huge business. It's an industry in the United States, and I'm sure there's many socio-cultural reasons why. And one of the knife's edge, the piercing point of that was a place called Spooky World that was in Massachusetts. And it was, for lack of a better term, America's first horror theme park. It was more than a haunted house. It transcended just Halloween season. And it's just one of these things that happened. And then like dandelions, these things just started to sprout up everywhere. And nothing makes me smile more than events like this. And there's a really great book about it. It's a beautiful book. It's called Behind the Screams at Spooky World: The Secrets, Scares, and Stars of America's Original Horror Theme Park. And when you have a book that has forwards by both Linda Blair and Alice Cooper, you put your money down on the counter and you take that book home. And the author and the mastermind of Spooky World, the Walt Disney of Spooky World, is here today. David Bertolino. How you doing, David?
All right.
To the uninitiated, if you're describing what Spooky World was, how would you describe it? Because it's not just a haunted house, and it grew from when did it open? Let's start that way. Let's go through this chronologically, because it is a thing that takes on a life of its own. Spooky World was greater than the sum of its parts.
Yes. Well put. It started in 1991 as just this little hayride. And I'm the first one to admit that I am the least creative force at Spooky World, other than bringing on the top talented people.
You're very modest to say that, but I also love how in his intro, Alice Cooper says, "Dave wasn't always the smartest guy in the room," but thanks, Alice.
Well, Tom Savini reminds me of that every time I see him. Before I got there, he would say, "You had a shitty little hayride." But that shitty little hayride, as he calls it, grew from, we were expecting 40 people a night. And I borrowed $150,000 and thinking, even right up till opening night, I'm going to lose my shirt. I owe $150,000. I'm doomed. We had a 10-year loan, which, by the way, on day one, instead of the 40 people it took to break even nightly, we were doing 2,000 people a night. In October, we had 60,000 paid admissions in year one.
Okay, so let's go right to there. It's 1991. And you're in you're in Berlin, Massachusetts. Where is Berlin, Massachusetts?
In the middle of nowhere. It's west of Boston on the way to Worcester.
Because I'm from Hopedale, which is Milford. So how far? I knew about Berlin. I've never been to Berlin. I've missed Spooky World. By the time Spooky World hit, I was out here already.
Sure.
Are you by like Fitchburg?
It's actually next to Marlborough.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, you're kind of tucked up in there.
Oh, it's definitely in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. it's kind of farm country, isn't it?
It totally is. You know,
Yeah.
Our bumper crop was hay, which is what we used for the hay rides.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and you're obviously, did you live in Berlin? Did you live near Berlin? And
I was born in Brighton.
Sure.
Spent a lot of time in Watertown.
Gateway to
suburb.
Brighton, gateway to Alston.
There you go. Exactly. But we were on a 4-story walk up. We had the cheapest apartment on the top floor, which kept me thin until I got the Nestle sponsorship and gained. I was at the height of Spooky World's success. I also had sponsorships.
Sure.
So when I booked Dunkin' Donuts and Nestle, I'd get an unlimited amount of donuts delivered, and it made me a severe diabetic, and then the chocolate cake, 100 cases of chocolate, and so I was 324 pounds.
Wow!
I was like Jabba the Hutt at Spooky World. I moved here to North Hollywood, California, and I dropped 100 pounds right away. In a year. So, those
not even trying, just getting away. Getting away. But the Dunkin' Donuts did follow you out.
Yeah, exactly.
But now I think it's just called Dunkin'. I think that they had like a big corporate thing in this that you get donut out of the title.
Right.
Because of just changing taste. But I don't know, there's still a lot of donut places. People like donuts.
Well, in the Hollywood area, there's tons of donut shops. And if you watch a movie called Donut King, you'll understand the one man who from Cambodia brought all of his relatives over here and opened up a couple of hundred Dunkin'
I want to see. I have no knowledge of that.
This guy is fascinating. It's called Donut King. He would have all of his relatives sleep in the back room of each donut shop. Low cost overhead because it would be, all relatives.
Is this early 70s?
This is 70s. He worked for
because he probably left Cambodia because of the war. He was
right, exactly. He fled there, and he worked for Winchell's, and he went to Winchell's Donut University, and then, as it turned out, Winchell's president said it's the worst thing we ever did because this guy put us out of business in California.
Wow!
And but it's that's a really fascinating doc called
Donut King. Oh, I'm writing that down. That sounds right up. That's right. Yeah, there's a couple of Dunkins out here, but I think they're just called Dunkin'.
Well,
Anyways,
this guy kept out the donut industry just to his friends and relatives.
Amazing. So you were you like obviously were you like a monster kid, or did you just clearly see a business opportunity? There's no wrong answer, Dave.
Well, from the Boston area, you will know the famous place that was utopia for you in your age group and our age group was the Joke Shop in downtown Boston. And so my dad came home one day and said, "Hey, we own a joke shop." And here I am, 13 years old. And it's like, okay, and I would work 6 days a week in our Halloween section of the joke shop. And to make a long story short, it developed and we created a wholesale division. And then, the property became so valuable, we sold it to a high-rise condo development. But I was headhunted by Ruby's Costume Company, which is the biggest Halloween maker in the world.
Right.
And so I learned Halloween and I learned props and displays for haunted houses and so forth. That was my entree. I grew up in horror and Halloween at age 13.
I just watched Breakfast at Tiffany's, which I've not seen, which is a great movie. And there's also scenes with Mickey Rooney in Yellowface, which are ghastly. Yeah. But at one point, because I've never seen it front to back, I finally just sat down. This is a classic movie I have to watch.
Sir.
They go into a store that has a Halloween display. It's like Halloween, and you see what Halloween displays were like in 1960. It's really, which was just the beginning of the monster boom. Yeah, sure. I know the joke shop well. So I guess I can see that as a natural extension. And then you think, for the month of October, we'll do a hayride. And it was a roll of the dice. You could have
totally, but I was in the right hands. Tommy came to Spooky World and stayed there for months.
Tom Savini? Okay. But I'm talking about right at the beginning, that first night when you were afraid you weren't going to get 40 people. This is what, October of 91?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I had 4 portalets. And by the end of the week, we had 20 of them.
Right.
By the end of the month, we had 40 of them.
Right.
And so it's like, and by the way, P.S., my wife and I were cleaning the bathrooms at 2 a.m. the first week. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, that's how you know you married the right person.
I got a theme park to run.
And so that was just, it was the hayride with people jumping out, I'm assuming. And
exactly.
We built such
22 stage sets along the way. The wagon would stop at each one. And by the way, year 1, we had these hay wagons that held 30 people. By year 2, I had to redesign them by the Amish. I had them make 10 hay wagons that held 70 people each. And every 2 minutes, a new wagon would go out.
And those are built by the Amish.
Built by the Amish.
Berlin. Right. Boy, is this for thine spooky display?
Yeah, yes. No. And it just was a runaway train Fellini circus every night.
That is amazing to me. And so you paid off you had to pay off that first loan, then I'm assuming you had to get another loan right away.
Honestly, it's self-funded.
It was self-funded. Yeah.
It's when you have 60,000 admissions, and back then the ticket was only $15, but it was kind of a windfall. I mean, plus, there was other issues. Then you don't have enough staff. You don't have enough,
zoning, fire, all that, permits.
Well, it's funny. The town wanted me so badly because I was going to restore these barns that were built in the 1700s. And that was the agreement that they would give me the licensing if I did that. And I really believe that many of those town officials thought this guy is going to rebuild these barns and then he'll go out of business and we don't have this eyesore.
We don't have to do it.
Yeah, but instead it flourished. It was phenomenal. I mean, we put Berlin, Massachusetts on the map. We were the largest employer in the area. And, in season, we hired 400 people to operate Spooky World.
And what was your season?
Just the month of October. Yeah,
just the month of October.
31 nights, yeah.
Yeah, but now it starts. Did that expand as Spooky World progressed?
Oh, yeah. I mean, each year, Tommy would come back. He would live in the main farmhouse.
How did Tom, for people who don't know, Tom Savini is great special effects makeup genius, one of the legends, Rick Baker, Tom Savini, Night of the Living Dead and all that stuff. I'm sure everybody who listens to this podcast knows who Tom Savini is. How did he even get involved? Because he's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, back then you can open up a phone book and you can find somebody's name. And that's what I did. I introduced myself. And he said, this is never going to work. You're crazy. But then he came out in the summer and he helped us develop the hayride. And then came back, of course, in October for the launch. And at that point, he drank the Kool-Aid. He said, we've got to add, the first thing you got to do is change the name. Spooky Hayrides is not what this should be called. It should be like Disneyland, Disney World. How about Spooky World? I said, okay, that sounds like a great name. I changed the name 2 weeks into the season to Spooky World.
Sure.
For the next year. And so we added a haunted house attraction each year. We added a huge monster midway, all themed carnival games and food products, all themed to horror.
Right.
Dark rides from various fairs and carnivals. And then do you remember the Boston Phoenix?
Of course, yeah,
Newspaper?
not only, and their radio station, WFNX.
Exactly. You open up the back pages and there was classic.
My guy Ty in the morning.
I hired every street performer that had listed their names in the back page of the Phoenix. So I hired strolling musicians, I hired puppeteers, I even hired a barbershop quartet. These 4 guys were, in their 80s, zombied them up. Now, the sad thing is it got really cold later in the month of October. And
yes, it does.
Only 3 showed, and I said, "Where is so-and-so? Your 4th? Oh, he died over the weekend. He had pneumonia." It's like, oh no, I felt so responsible. But the show must go on. They came right back and they sang, every night for the whole month
they're
of October.
from New England. They know, they know what they're getting into now, and so. You had to expand your real estate commitment, I'm assuming, as well, right? You had this thing is growing. Was there ever talk about going? This is my question, and you know the answer. Was there ever talk of going year round, or does that kill it? Because it's like this happens now, and you can, because here all of the horror things, and they're legion, and it's the greatest, and it's coming up around the corner, but they start a little bit earlier every year. They start, they get into like September. It starts now, kind of starts beginning in September. And I thought, like, if there was a year, like every Saturday night there was a year-round horror maze, would kids go? Or is it, no, it's like Christmas, you get it for this period and then it's gone?
I think I agree with that viewpoint, only because over the years I've seen other attractions trying to open early, with the exception of maybe Knott's and Universal. The independent people don't seem to be able to draw the audience. I mean, we didn't even draw much of an audience until the second week of October, which is why I would have, one of my staff people during the summer contact every children's charity that's out there and offer them a free ticket if they put it in a letter requesting it and how their charity is needy for that,
Right.
use. Well, I would take these letters the end of August to all of the potential sponsors that turned me down. And I said, okay, you don't want to buy a sponsorship. I'll give it to you for free if you buy these charity folks their tickets.
Smart.
So ultimately, all of those charities populated Spooky World the first week of October, which is the quietest week.
The quietest weekend. They're not going to turn down the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute or whatever it is.
Bingo. So ultimately, I kind of disproportionately balanced my throughput.
That's really
by doing that.
See, that's why you would be successful and I would not be successful. Because I can't think like that. I don't have that.
That's
I don't
why
have that chip.
And Savini has that chip when it comes to creativity. I'm an idiot. But
no. Somebody has to put their name in the lower right-hand corner of the check, David.
Good point. Okay. I'll go that far with you.
Yeah. And so did Savini, he would come up for the season? Would he like stay in a hotel or rent a place?
Oh, yeah. No, he initially, before I got to know him, I put him up at the luxury Super 8 hotel nearby. But then it
would be him and a bunch of hunters.
He loved the old farmhouse. So we added furniture, bedroom set for him. He actually wrote one of his books. I think it was Bizarro that he wrote on the second floor of the farmhouse. But he would be doing writing at night. Sometimes he'd call me in the like at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I got a question. Can we do? Yeah. He had all kinds of creative ideas.
Oh no, I find that life that sounds great. I do that in a New York minute.
And I would answer the phone and I would, I'd be into it. So
and
we're both a little nutty.
And it's funny because New England is specifically there's a genetic appeal for this stuff in New England. Not only, I mean, going back to its origin as founded by people in a religious cult, which the Puritans and the Pilgrims were.
Right.
They were doomsday cults. And the witch burnings and or they weren't burned, they were actually hanged. But there is something very intrinsic in the New England mindset that loves this stuff. It's a part of you. It's a part of you. And Pennsylvania too. It's all of a piece. It's interesting that it's so big here in California. But I think that comes from a different school. It's more of a business thing, and there's not the socio-cultural aspect of it. But Salem and Dark. There's a reason Dark Shadows was set in New England. And,
sure, yeah. I mean,
Michigan.
I think New England is the Halloween capital of the world. Between Lizzie Borden, Salem, Mass witches, the Salem Wax Museum, the Witches Museums, the House of Seven Gables, Spooky World, of course. But we have so much to draw from.
Yeah, and Salem. The thing that Salem is the most famous for, the Bunghole liquor store.
Oh.
There's a liquor store in Salem called the Bunghole, and it's giant neon letters, the Bunghole. I'm like, this. I know that you are making a nautical reference, but you need to check this out online.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
You became friends with so many people. So now you're friends with Tom Savini, and then you become friends with Alice Cooper. How did that happen?
I had a partner who, by day, his job was to operate a facility called the Orpheum Theater.
Sure.
Downtown Boston.
Yep.
And he was under the employ of Don Law, who was a famous producer. And because
there's a name,
because my partner Sean knew so many people, he connected me with Alice. And Alice said,
and he lives in Hawaii, doesn't he?
Well, no, actually, sometimes he's at Shep Gordon's place in Maui. You're right.
Yeah.
But he
basically lives to golf.
Exactly. I found out what his hot button was. That's where I was going with this.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah, he lives outside of Phoenix, actually. But we made friends. And, when I spoke to Toby Mammis, his local manager here, he said, you got to keep him busy with golf. He loves golf. Get him good golfers to play with. So I found the best course. It's called the International Course. It's a 9-hole. It's beloved by top golfers in the world.
Where is it? I'm sure my brother goes there.
It's near Berlin. I mean, it's maybe Lancaster, one of those small towns.
I'm sure my brother goes there because my oldest brother's a golfer.
So I would arrange for him to do some phoners in the morning in the limo while we took him each morning to play golf. And he said, get me good golfers. So I would, again, Dana, you'll get a kick out of this. I would call those potential sponsors.
Sure.
And say, who plays golf? Wouldn't you like to play with Alice Cooper?
Yeah, who wants to go golfing with Alice Cooper?
And by the way, here's the contract if you want to sign for the sponsorship this fall.
People love celebrities.
And so I got him busy. And then, Alice caught on. He said, look, I know you're making a buck on this. That's fine. But at least get me the best of the, sponsors, golfers to play with. I don't want lame people to play with. And I totally got that. But every morning he would go out and play, 9 holes of golf. And then come back and chill for the afternoon, then head to Spooky World at 6:00 the autograph line was a mile long.
Hell yeah. And then I'm assuming you also get, I don't know if WAAF was still going.
Oh, Greg Neal loved Spooky World.
For WAAF to go to interview Alice Cooper, I mean, it's a no brainer.
And Hill wanted something edgy that other places that we were sending them to. So, one of the scream queens, and I'm not going to talk names here, right? But in order to, because Greg was whining about, wanted something different, one of the scream queens in the green room took off all of her clothes and walked in and said, "Oh, David says hello from Spooky World to Greg." Now, Greg didn't let on that this gal was totally naked, did the whole interview with no clothes, just the smile on her face. And,
were her initials LQ by chance?
No, they weren't actually.
Well,
and I know what you're talking about. With me, it's very sweet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But yeah, Hillman would take all of my horror celebrities, which was great. And they would do feature interviews and,
but that is how, this is that's how, and this is your brain and not my brain. That's how business works. I'm going to help you and you're going to help me. And we're both going to make a buck.
Exactly.
And where, just to go 30,000 feet, where our system has gone awry is now there's this mentality of like, and then I'll screw you and make all the money. Like, no, what if
where did that happen?
Yeah, but it's like, what if you made some money and I made some money and then the people that worked for us made enough money to live and then everybody made a little bit of money, but nobody made all the money and everybody worked and got along. That somehow has become an un-American belief.
I know, right? Like they said in The Godfather, you've got to share the water from the well.
You become friends with Alice Cooper. You become friends with Linda Blair.
Yeah, Linda Blair. She, first of all, you have to remember, Dana, there's very few Halloween attractions back in 1991.
Yeah, this is wait. By the time Alice and Linda shows up, where are you? Are you mid 90s?
Well, no, I reached. Alice started in 93. Linda started in 92. The whole event started in 91. There was zero cons. It was Weekend of Horrors. I remember that, my friend Tony Timpone was operating for Fango.
Chiller was still going. Chiller was going, wasn't
Kevin Clements had a great event there. Very few. But as far as haunted houses, a place where horror celebrities can sign autographs, there were none. When I brought Kane and Gunnar in for year one, Gunnar Hansen is Leatherface.
And Kane Hodder.
Yeah, I would pay, I guess it's okay to say like $1,000 a week for 4 weeks. And that
those figures are different now.
And there were free autographs. By year 2, I thought, I think there's a business of these celebrities charging for the autograph. And as I was yelled at by Bloody Disgusting over the weekend, I guess David was the person who started the horror celebrities charging for autographs, but it changed the whole situation, the whole world for them. When I see Kane,
I have to interrupt just because people need to know that their Bloody Disgusting is it's a website, but it's also the name of a corporation.
Right.
Bloody Disgusting.
I'm sorry. Yeah. They have a podcast and they were actually a moderator of my Q&A panel over the weekend.
That is a massive business.
Well, Kane tells everybody affectionately, and this is kind of sad, but I bought my first car, he would say, because of me being Jason in Friday the 13th. He said, but I bought my first house because of David Bertolino brought on Spooky World. And, the revenue. I mean, I was just with Alice. The autographs were $120 a piece. You sign 400 or 500 of them in a day. It's pretty damn good revenue.
And the people, and it's a beautiful business because the people are happy that have the autograph and they have the check. Because I don't make that money, but I've done it. And you get a little money, the people get money. And for all of these people, it pays for a lot of these people that pays for their lives.
Exactly.
Like I know a lot of people that it's a huge part of their yearly revenue. my wife and I spent 10 minutes at Comic-Con in San Diego talking to Gary Lockwood, and I watched Gary Lockwood flirt with my wife. It was fantastic. And, but like, I value that. I value that time in that photo. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. And because these people, people assume if you've been in a movie that you're rich. And
that's what the fans think. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, yeah, you get residual checks for $11. $1.23 because Herbie the Love Bug aired in Bulgaria. So it's really, and what's interesting is that wasn't even the focus of Spooky World, but that business grew out of it.
Grew huge. And I got to tell you, there's a number, right now I'm just finishing a second book for my publisher called, The Bucket List, Top Horror and Halloween Events in America. And I called personally, the top 10 horror cons that we've voted on. And 3 of them got started because of Spooky World. That actually came to Spooky World. And now one of them you might know. Do you know Spencer Charnas over at, he has a group called Ice Nine Kills. Phenomenal. He's the new Alice Cooper.
Okay.
And he, when Spooky World closed, the folks at AAF started an event called Rock and Shock in Worcester.
Nice.
At the DCU. And then this young fellow comes about and buys Rock and Shock. And why did he buy it? Because as a kid, he went to Spooky World and was inspired. He wrote his horror music as a result of it.
That's great.
When I started shooting Spooktacular, our documentary, which by the way is on Amazon, he approached us and said, I'd like to be part of this doc. So we, interviewed him, and actually production wise, he was brought on as an associate producer. But here's a guy who started a band because of Spooky World, started a horror con as a result of Spooky World. And now I'm going there in Boston in October to do a panel with my pal, Linda Blair. And you mentioned Joyce Kilhaywick. We just invited her to be moderator because Joyce came to Spooky World several times.
So I need to give some backdrop to this. I'm from Massachusetts, and Joyce Kilhaywick was on Channel 4. She was the local entertainment reporter. And I always remember Joyce Kilhaywick reporting live from First Night. Was always the thing that she would do.
Yeah.
Which was New Year's Eve. And then I open up the book. I'm like, oh my God, it's Joyce Kilhaywick. Now, is she still on WBZ out there? Or?
I think she's kind of semi-retired, although her presence I see in theater reviews and such.
That's so great.
I'm out here with you in California.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Is Dana Hersey still around?
No, I think he passed away.
Oh no!
Yeah, he did some event, the Movie Loft.
The Movie Loft, of course.
Yeah. And so he would do horror movies, and he would do the intros at Spooky World with my celebrities.
Oh, that's fantastic! I didn't know that, but see, I was already out here for all of that stuff, but I also remember Dana Hersey from Ask the Manager.
Yes. Jesus, you do go back, don't you?
Oh, I
remember that. Channel 38.
Yeah, for people that don't know, this is almost SCTV. There was Channel 38 was the local UHF station in Massachusetts, one of several, and 38, 56, and 27.
That's right. Yeah.
They had a show called Ask the Manager, which is on Sunday nights at 10:30, where you could write letters, and Dana Hersey would read the letters to Joseph C. Domino.
Oh my God!
The vice president and general manager of TV 38.
You got a hell of a memory, pal.
Well, because one time they showed Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, but they put the reels out of order.
Okay.
And I wrote a letter. And I was in high school, but I wrote a very sarcastic letter that they read.
Get it right.
That they read. Because I love, for some reason, I was such a messed up weirdo. I loved that show.
Right.
So 100 years later, I'm on a sitcom called Working. And you do one of those round robin press events where a reporter comes in from Michigan and asks you the same 5 questions. And then another reporter comes in from,
Sure.
Austin, Texas, and asks you the same 5 questions. Dana Hersey comes in. And I stop him and I go, you read my letter on Ask the Manager.
Oh, God.
And when I started telling the story, he goes, stop. I remember that. I remember that letter.
That is so wild.
And it was really one of my seminal moments of like.
I ran into Dana Hersey at a funeral parlor in downtown New York, Lower Manhattan. It was called. There was a play that they converted it in at an actual funeral parlor, and I was sitting in the second to last row. The play was called Grandma Sylvia's Funeral.
Great.
And they actually brought in a hearse, and the grandma fell off out of the coffin. I mean, it was a whole show, And so Dana was sitting behind me, and he had a bottle of peach schnapps, and he recognized me, and we were passing it back, and we got totally stoned in the back 2 rows of Grandma Sylvia's funeral, watching that together.
Wow. Dana Hersey died in 2025. Wow.
Fun guy.
Yeah. And he was only 77. He was a young man. That world of local TV is, it's such a huge, it's a part of Americana.
They were so easy to deal with in those. It wasn't a big, like,
you just walk in. You just walk in.
I get calls from Channel 56 all the time saying, hey, you're giving all your TV money to WBZ. How do we get a piece of it? And I would say, well, let's see. WBZ brought Willard Scott to do the weather. WBZ has Bruce Schwegler during their weather forecast talking about, it's going to be a great night at Spooky World tomorrow.
And
so
people need to know Bruce Schwegler attacked a weather forecast the way Pete Townsend played guitar. Like, he was he was possessed.
Yes. Well, he was very helpful, by the way, but that's a tip. I don't know if it's a legal story to bring about, but
well, tell me and I'll edit it if I have to.
All right. Well, let me just quickly go back to the 56.
Yeah.
So I said, 56, what are you going to do for me? I looked at their programming. They had the WAA, World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah.
And it was different letters then. Anyway, they agreed to bring a wrestling superstar to Spooky World every Friday night. And I said, well, will you have your cameras broadcasting them? Oh, we can't do that. And I said, well, you saw Willard Scott do the weather. You have a guy, Mike Wonkum, have him do the weather every Friday night after they shoot the wrestlers. They agreed. So I owned Channel 56 during the news every Friday night during the month of October. I go back to Schwegler.
WLVI?
I think it might be.
WSPK TV 38, WLVI TV 56.
Yes. Okay, Schwegler. I don't know if this is legal. I think it is. Listen,
I'll cut it. Just tell me. No.
I think the statute of limitation is over. I bought weather insurance. Now, one of my closest friends and my vice president of Spooky World is Fred Sherman. He's producing a show for Tom Bergeron called People Are Talking.
Tom Bergeron.
So, I said to
People Are Talking.
Yeah, I said to Freddie, I wonder if it's going to rain. If there's patterns here. And he said, I got a friend of mine, Bruce Schwegler. Let's ask him if there are any weather patterns that you should be buying. So I'd call Schwegler and would have these phone meetings, and he would say, all right, do you need to pick an airport? And I said, yeah, should I pick Worcester? Should I pick Hartford? Should I pick Boston? And he says, okay, there's a front coming through, and it looks like it's going to go Highlands. I would say, buy the weather insurance for Worcester. And he and I would talk.
Amazing.
And he had, back then, sophisticated equipment.
Sure. Doppler radar.
Exactly. So, it would, I kind of had the advantage of buying weather insurance, and I did very well.
What were the years that Spooky World was in? Extant. It started in 91, and you wrapped in.
And then we moved to Gillette Stadium, deep in the woods at Gillette Stadium in 1999, I believe.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. So we operated in Berlin until a building inspector who wasn't feeling warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, that always happens.
Yeah, and he was very upset that the selectmen were working for me at night. The police chief was working for me. The fire chief was working for. So he wasn't in on the gravy train.
Yeah, he wasn't wet. His beak was dry, and he was annoyed.
And so as a result, he put in through the state some emergency order to close Spooky World because of imminent life danger.
A tale as old as time.
Yes, it's Shakespearean, isn't it?
Yeah. Ugh, so annoying. So then you moved to, and that's that happened out here with Boney Island. I'm sure you know about Boney Island and all those things. So then you moved to Gillette Stadium.
Yes.
Which is a controlled environment.
Yep. The Crafts had unlimited parking.
Right.
And they had agreed to refurbish their horse. I never realized there was a horse racing track in Foxborough. And so they gave me all the stables, and we refurbished them and made 6 or 8 haunted house attractions out of them.
Great.
And one of the buildings we actually drove through, which was a great controlled environment for the hayride. And it was really high tech. It lost its country intimacy, the smell of cow manure.
Yeah, no. But I understand exactly what you're saying. That's what I thought about it, and the same thing happened with Boney Island. It moved from Rick Palizzi's house to Griffith Park, and then it bounced around because of a neighbor.
Yeah,
it does lose that
mystique.
Yeah, but it still ran. I mean, like, because my favorite attraction out here used to be the Pierce College haunted corn maze. Pierce College is an agriculture college up in Northwood.
Yeah.
And they had a cornfield, and they carved a maze into it, and they built a couple of mazes, and it was the high school kids and the college kids would work at, and it felt like you were in Berlin, Massachusetts. That's why I love it. You'd smell manure and fertilizer and corn and it was great. And then that closed. Sure, I go to Universal Studios, but that's like going to the airport. It's
totally hear you.
Yeah.
Totally.
But there's some great ones, like Knott's Scary Farm is great. I mean, there's 100 of them. And they're really great, but there's one, I forget the name of it out here, that I love because it's in a half empty shopping mall.
Oh, I'll tell you what it is. For my second book, this top 10.
Yeah.
I gave a top 10 award to an event called Reign of Terror.
That's it.
And they're in that shopping mall area.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Set up all year, but they're only open in October. And I got to tell you something. Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great.
Unbelievable haunted attraction. That couple is doing a fantastic job.
And a great use of a dead mall.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. No,
so they got our top 10. They're in our new book.
Yeah.
They have a top 10 award of being one of the top attractions of all of America. And it's right here in Thousand Oaks, maybe.
Yeah, it's like Thousand Oaks, maybe.
Yeah.
And again, what's great about these things is it's real. It's tactile. There are people in costumes. Yeah, people in costumes. People, you can touch it. There's nothing digital.
Right.
And it's very life affirming. So when did Spooky World shutter?
It never did.
Okay.
The Crafts and I, we lost some of the space to luxury parking.
Sure.
And so it moved to Litchfield, New Hampshire.
Okay.
and where it haunts continuously every October.
Okay,
And
so it's still going in New
it's
Hampshire.
still
now.
going, and I got to tell you something. They greatly expanded the Hayride, which is the feature event, by the way.
Right.
And it's phenomenal. In fact, I'm going back there this October. I already asked Linda Blair if she would accompany me, and we'll go on a hay wagon together. I haven't been on a hay wagon with her for 30 some odd years. but
Oh, wow.
it
That's,
would be
yeah,
great to-
I always go to Griffith Park Haunted Hayride, which is.
You know, it's funny. I didn't know who those people are, and I set up. I did a book signing at Monsterpalooza. Incredibly busy signing table.
Sure,
right
I can
across
imagine.
from Tom Savini, and one of the first people who bought like several books. So I signed them for the names he gave me, and I said, "I'm just curious. What do you do? Are you in this
Yeah.
industry?" And he said, "My name is Chris, and I own L.A. Haunted Hayride." And he also, his company, 13th Floor.
Right, I know 13th Floor.
Okay, they produce Halloween events throughout
Yeah,
the country.
tons. Yeah, great.
So it was just an honor to meet this fellow, and he paid homage to David, and I paid homage to Chris, and it was a nice encounter.
There's another. Do you know Samantha Hale?
Very good friend of mine.
There you go. And Samantha Hale,
in
from people who
fact,
don't know, is a comedian.
I went to
who has
Horror
a
Nerd last
Yeah.
month and gave out a couple of books for prize winners at her event. And
Yeah.
she's come over here. She visits here regularly. I hang out with her at the
Yeah,
Improv.
Yeah, she's a comedian who has a show called Horror Nerd. It's one of my favorite shows to do, and it's a horror themed stand up show. And as I'm sure you know, she is the granddaughter of the skipper, Alan
Exactly.
Hale Jr. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's great. That whole community is one of my favorite things.
I introduced her to David Marklin, who owns Midsummer Scream, and for the last 3 years, she's been doing Midsummer Scream as a result of that. So they have good company there.
What is the place in it? Might have been there's a place that was like a month ago, 2 months ago in Pasadena. There's an area in Pasadena that it's all these old Victorian houses. And what had happened was that these Victorian houses that were dotted all around Los Angeles. I mean, Los Angeles is one of those things. It's like somebody said this. I wish it was me. It was like a masquerade party, and all the buildings came as different styles of architecture. Like there's nothing cohesive, but like a mid-century modern house next to a Victorian house next to a Dutch American house. But they literally trucked, they excavated all of these old Victorian houses and put them up in this area of Pasadena where they're sort of protected and nurtured. And they had a Halloween event like 2 months ago. I don't know what it's called, but
yeah,
it was, it's just like they're dotted all through the year.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, Samantha
I know
will
that Michael Rothman, podcaster, he's living in the Laurie Strode house from Halloween.
Sure.
And so I know he's got a kind of a Victorian look house there.
Did he buy the house to live in the house?
Oh yeah, he's living there.
Oh, that's great. My friend Mary Reber lives in the Palmer House, the Laura Palmer House in Washington, maintains it and cultivates it as sort of a museum. Not a museum, it's more like an experience.
Yeah, you're like the curator, right?
yeah, exactly. She curates it, and you can go there and be in it, and it's the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest thing
nicely done.
When did you sort of disengage from the day-to-day? Like at its peak, I'm assuming it was your year-round job, correct?
That's the thing.
Like you wrap it and
so easy. People think, they make a killing and it's 1 month a year. My office of staff of 6 people were operating 12 months a year.
Yeah.
We were contacting charities. We were buying media. We were arranging sponsorships. We were buying block time of radio and, developing the celebrity lineup because we would rotate the celebrities every weekend.
Yeah, that's a year-round job.
It's an all year. If you treat it that way, it's worth putting the effort into it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I know the people that run SF Sketchfest, it's 6 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is, but it's year round. It's a full-time job. What was the longest period it was open for? Like, did you get to the point where you were starting at Labor Day and going through hell, or was it always just October?
It was, I tried to open it a few days earlier, but it didn't, it just didn't quite make sense.
Right.
Instead, especially.
Well, it's like Christmas. It's a mood.
Exactly.
It's a mood,
Yeah. I mean, if I was just a retailer, I guess, I'd pull a Home Depot and put out my Halloween stuff in July. But this more is a state of mind, like, it's a calling to say, okay, this is where we're celebrating the holiday. It takes the life out of it to have it in August or September.
Yeah, I mean, it does start. I mean, here it's by August, you're Halloween deep here.
Sure.
And my complaint with that is they're done before Halloween.
Yeah.
The third week of October, they're putting up Christmas stuff. It's like you're sort of missing the point.
I mean, I would add on other events that didn't have anything to do with Halloween just to draw a different audience. I would do car events. I brought in George Barris, who brought in the original Batmobile and the original Munster coach. And, that would bring the car enthusiasts. I brought in, various singing clubs to sing on the karaoke stage. Again, just to develop a new audience. I would bring in celebrities like the cast of MASH or cast of Dawson's Creek, just to bring in a different group.
Let's talk about some of the celebrities because you don't think of Berlin, Massachusetts as a place where you could see a famous person,
right.
But who are the people that you brought through in addition to like Linda Blair and Tom Savini?
I brought in
Elvira. Elvira came.
Sure. Jamie Farr, Gary Berghoff, Loretta Swit, the cast of
the scary cast of MASH.
From Dawson's Creek, we had Kerr Smith. We had the WWF wrestlers every Friday night. We had the Undertaker. I remember there was one of the wrestlers couldn't make it. He was ill. So they called me from Stamford, Connecticut and said, listen, I'm sorry, this so-and-so can't make it, but we have this up and coming guy and just bear with us. And I said, who's the name? It was like an unknown name. And I said, you owe me one. And they said, okay, all right. So they sent this unknown guy and his dad, who was living in New Hampshire. They drove up together. His name was John Cena. And, hardly recognized, signed autographs. It was fun. Now I wrote to him to see if he would be in the book. And there was crickets in the background.
He's a busy dude.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
Oh, that's fantastic. And, I keep going back to that local TV thing. I was talking last night about WKRP in Cincinnati, which is such an, there are two shows that are classic sitcoms that haven't gotten their due, that they're not eternal, like which is Barney Miller and WKRP in Cincinnati, that I don't think have the afterlife they deserve. And you talk about Channel 56 and Channel 38. That was such a specific thing, and the one thing on TV now that still evokes it is Svengoolie, which, although national, feels like a local show.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
And they have deep. Did he ever come out? Did you ever do anything with Rich?
No, I actually Flashback Horror Weekend in Chicago last year. I'm deep in the book, and I want to deliver a trophy to those people who run the con. What I didn't know is, hey, David, my wife and I started this con. We're the #1 con in the Midwest, and it's all because of going to Spooky World as fans. And I was like totally humbled. I brought a second trophy, Lifetime Achievement Award, again in the upcoming book. And I said, listen, if you can bring me to the front of the line, I'd like to give this to Svengoolie and take a picture so we can put it in the book. And they said, give us 15 minutes. Now Svengoolie packs up, he leaves, and I don't see him. So the owners, the producers take me to a corridor, and all of a sudden I hear my name being introduced, and they open the doors with the producer, and they hand walk me up on the stage to hand Svengoolie this top 10 award, which was going to appear in his show, by the way, which is wonderful. And so I hand him this Lifetime Achievement Award, and that's how I got the chance to spend a couple of minutes with Svengoolie.
Jim Roach was the guy that probably opened the door.
Yes.
No, I love those guys. I love those guys. So I'm moderating their panel at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, nice. Oh, sweet.
I love those guys so much.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I love that world of local late 70s, early 80s local television.
Exactly.
It's so American, it's so very American. So when did you pack up from the East Coast and move out here to sunny California? Because you're not retired. You're still running a ginormous business.
Well, I'm trying to retire, but now the second book is keeping me busy because they're sending me to HorrorCons to sign the book.
Sure.
And then while I'm at the HorrorCons, I'm adding more material for the second book, which is great. And so I came out here 13 years ago. I lived in a little guest cottage in Valley Village that I found on Craigslist.
That's so funny.
And the woman who owned the guest cottage or the home, the main house, had her niece visiting. And so I met her niece and didn't see her for another year. She came back and she was divorced by then. We started dating and since married. So I actually, found a place to live and a marriage partner and my soulmate.
That's
and
amazing.
Then I found this house 12 years ago. It's got, as you can see in the back, like 5 little guest cottages.
I have been to your.
Oh, that's right. You've been here. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Mick Garris and I went trick or treating.
Yes. And so this brought me out here. I did a play called. Then this is weird. This is a strange thing. At the Las Vegas Lingerie Show, I was designing sexy costumes, and I had a product line, and I made a naughty nurse.
I can't imagine there's any business for that.
I made a naughty nurse costume, and the people in the booth, the cross said, "Can you add Linda Lovelace's embroidered name to the nurse?" And they told me the story about how their boss made the movie Deep Throat. Well, I was so fascinated by it. That night, they sent a car for me, brought me to their boss's place, had dinner with him. He was a former high-ranking Colombo crime family.
I was going to say, didn't that mean he was in the mafia?
Yeah. And so I said, you should do a play or a movie about how you made this movie. That's fascinating. And he said, well, you write it. So I wrote something up, and a couple of days later, I handed it to the folks across from my booth, and they asked me to develop it. I just did it gratis. I wasn't looking for money. I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
And so
plus you don't want to go to the Columbia crime family.
No,
this is the money you're giving me.
Well, anyway, to make a long story short, when I visited Vegas the next time, he told me to meet him at a strip bar, one of 4 that he owned in Vegas on the downtown.
Sure.
And he sold me the rights to Deep Throat for $1. So I developed a stage play that I ran in New York
called
The Deep Throat Sex Scandal.
Yep.
And then I moved it to the Zephyr Theater on Melrose back about 8 years ago. And it did fairly well, actually. It was a 2-week run. I extended it to 13 weeks. I got a special allowance from Equity to raise the price from the
would you send me that to read? I would love to read that.
When I opened the play here, it was a huge success. And part of it was I had cameo players that were actually from the porn industry.
Sure, of course.
I had
of course.
Herschel Savage and Nina Hartley and Kay Parker and Ginger Lynn and Amber Lynn and and all it. And they would work a weekend, small dialogue. I sprinkled in some mainstream, like Bruce Valanche played the judge who sentenced Harry Reeves to jail.
That's so great.
Christopher Knight from the Brady Bunch.
Peter Brady.
Peter Brady. A bit part in the porn theater scene. So it's all my I had friends who populated this, and it was a great fun play. It ran 13 weeks, standing room only, sold out every ticket during its run.
What a great please send me. I really want to. There's more to it. There's more to it. It's so great.
Well, here's a movie that cost $25,000 to make and grossed $600 million in 1970s dollars.
Yeah. It's one of those. Yeah. It's one of those. The most. Yeah, it's profitable by in contrast to money spent to make it.
Right.
That's. I
got the inside stories from. The people.
and there was a lot of that money was in paper bags.
Yeah, exactly. And they owned the theaters. They were running the theaters 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And there's a line at 3 a.m, 4 a.m. You couldn't get in
because it became, and this is a whole other thing, also a great title for something, porno chic, where the upper crust. The upper crust would go and watch this porno movie because it became cool and fashionable to go see it.
Not to digress, but just what you just said was labeled by is it Ron Galella, I think, was the photographer. The luckiest thing that happened to Deep Throat and to Ron Galella was he heard that there was a couple at the theater on 23rd Street that went to see Deep Throat. So he waited till they got out, took a picture of them underneath the marquee Deep Throat. And here it was, Andy Warhol, arm in arm with Jackie Kennedy Onassis.
Yes.
Every ticket in America was sold out from that point on. Huge.
Yeah. And that's what, 73?
72, 73. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. When the nation had bell bottoms.
Exactly.
And giant sideburns. Well, so the book is called Behind the Screams at Spooky World. I've got my copy right here. It's a beautiful book. The photos are amazing, and it's really, I mean, this stuff is still going on, but it is such a chunk of Americana. It's really beautiful. So you can buy it at a bookstore. Go to a bookstore and buy it. And if not, you can buy it online. Do you have a website specific to all of your stuff, or do you just?
I have David-Bertolino.com.
Let's spell that for people. David-Bertolino.
Correct.
Bertolino, just as it sounds. And then your second book is coming out, and that's called
Top Horror and Halloween Events in America.
And the documentary is called
Spooktacular is on Amazon Prime.
Amazon.
It's on Hulu. It's on Shudder. Bought it now. Yeah.
So good.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's great to see. I've seen it. It's a thing. It's a thing of beauty.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time. I recommend everyone go out and buy Behind the Screams at Spooky World.
And just if I may say that I'm at Midsummer Scream, August 7th through 9th. Signing the book. I'll be in the lobby. In addition, I'm doing a
And where
Q&A.
is Midsummer Scream for
That's
people
in
who don't
Long
know?
Beach at the Long Beach Convention Center. And you know what's cool about this con? It's very different. Is they bring in about a dozen haunted house attractions, and they actually build rooms from their actual haunted houses, populate it with their best actors.
Yeah.
So you get to see all of these events.
It's a thing of beauty
from them. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a thing of beauty. It's
really well done.
I love it.
other podcasts reach for the sky. The Dana Gould Hour.
We barely
This has been the Dana Gould Hour, brought to you by the Internet. Music by Andy Paley with Jake Posner behind the board. Graphic design and web production by Spencer Hunt and Segan Friend. Sound editing and post-production by Jalinda Palmer and Joe Napolitano. Tom Kenny speaking.
I'm a DJ, I'm a person, I'm a singer,